Hello and welcome to a new tutorial. In this video I'm going to show you a few techniques to give you the impression of shade, tone and texture in your work. Because if you think about Lino Prints, traditionally they are quite flat. So if you look at this one, so what I mean by it looking flat is that it's all one colour and there's no sense of 3D-ness, if that's a word. So it's all quite flat in appearance. But I'm going to show you a few techniques where it will give you the impression of texture, tone and shade. So keep watching. So one of the first techniques I'm going to show you is just using your cutting tools. Because usually, so let's say I want to cut this area away. Usually you cut that deep enough so the ink won't get to it and it will print clean. But what if we played around with different depths of cut marks, so this creates a kind of pattern and becomes part of the print. Also you can cut away in the same direction. So I'm just going to do, I'm not going to cut too deeply. I'm still going to leave a lot of the surface lino on there as well. So playing around with your cut marks, because the wider away you cut, the darker this area of the print will be. The closer you do your cut marks, it will become quite light. Because your brain will fill in the gaps. I'm also just going to do a few little dots to see what that will look like as well. So this is doing the like a dig and flick. Then use a toothbrush to wipe away any loose bits of lino. I'm going to change size of tool as well. So this is a U tool, like this one, but it's a much smaller gouge. So I can do thinner lines. So you can create quite a lot of texture and tone just by your cut marks. So I'm just going to do a bit of cross hatching, just so we can see what that looks like. And again, I'm going to do a few little dots. So I'm going to leave that there and let's ink it up and print it so we can see what that looks like. So I've inked up my plate and I'm now going to print it. I'm just using Lino Print to print these, just to try them out. So there you can see the difference between how close you do your cut mark. So that in your brain that's telling you that's a lighter area than that area compared to an area down here. So playing around with your cut mark can give you the illusion of depth and tone. So I'm now going to show you the next method. Next method, I re-inked the plate and now I'm going to wipe some of the ink away. So I've got a cotton wool bud and I'm just going to wipe some of the ink off there. So this becomes a bit more like mono printing. You could use a cloth to wipe that off. I'm just going to use the back of my hand. So I'm just going to wipe the ink away. Up here, I'm just going to do swirly patterns. Just see what that will look like. So this should give you a bit more of a painterly look to your work. Let's leave that there. And then I've got a stick. And I'm just going to see where we're just drawing into the wet ink will show up. So let's print that. So pop it into my corner. Get my paper. And print it. So there you go, you can see this there and there is with the cotton wool bud, and down here works better in this area with the stick. So you can just play around with wiping areas away and see what you get. So now I'm going to show you another method. For this next method, I've re-inked my plate and then I'm going to put a stencil over part of the lino. So I trace around, before inking, I trace around the area that I wanted to mask off, transferred that onto some newsprint and created myself a stencil. And then I'm going to place that over the top. Then put my printing paper in place. Now this is the important bit. You need to tape one of the edges down. This will become apparent in a moment. And then print. I'm paying extra attention to the area where I've put the stencil on. I'm going to gently lift this up. Pop that to one side, it should still be taped. Gently remove the stencil. Try not to move the lino. And then pop your paper back down and carry on printing. Now the stencil removes some of the ink. So you're going to be creating a ghost print as part of the overall print. I'm going to remove the tape. So there you can see where the stencil was. So it gives you a ghosted area in part of the print. And this method can be used in its own right, or you can use this method if you're using multiple layer prints, so like multiple blocks or the reduction method. You can do some of your layers using the stencil. I'm now going to show you one more method. So I've re-inked my plate, and this time I'm going to use something with a bit of texture to it. So I'm going to use bubble wrap, and I'm going to use it in the same way as I did with the paper stencil. So I'm going to pop this onto the bottom part of my print, press it down, put your printing paper in place, and again you need to tape down one side of the paper and print. Again, focusing mainly on the area where you've got your texture. Now you can use any texture, so like corrugated card works well, like lace, embossed wallpaper, anything that's fairly shallow, not too hard, because anything metal is likely to rip the paper. So you want something fairly soft. So I'm going to lift this up. Try not to move the lino. Remove your texture. Now, I don't know if you can see on the film, but I can see the pattern has transferred onto the lino. Pop your paper down. Carry on printing. Let's have a look. And there you can see, you got some texture from the bubble wrap showing. So just to recap, you can use your cut marks to create areas of tone. You can wipe areas away. So this was done with a cotton wool bud. Or you can create a paper mask to do a ghost print effect. Or you can use some texture, which I use bubble wrap. And this is what it will look like if you use all four together. So you can get some really interesting effects using one or all of these techniques. So have a go, have some fun with it, experiment, and let me know how you get on in the comments.